Hello and welcome to the Film Pulse Podcast. This is episode number 182. My name's Adam Patterson. With me today we have Kevin Rakestraw. How you doing there, Kevin?
Doing pretty good.
We're also joined by Ryan Holes. How are you? Got a special guest. Ryan's a special guest this week on the regular show. So what we're going to be doing is going over the results of our summer movie predictions. We're also going to be reviewing the Austrian horror film Goodnight Mommy. Of course, we'll also be going over some of watching this week's movie predictions, new on video on demand and DVD and Blu-ray releases. If you're watching us on the live stream, welcome. I'll try to keep an eye on the chat, so feel free to join in on the conversation. Let's, what do you say we just jump right into these results? So, every summer, we try to predict the highest grossing summer movies. And this is our fourth year of doing it. I gotta say, I've been winning pretty much the whole time. I think I won three of the four.
You won all of them.
No, you won one.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Yes.
You won one, and then I won one, and then I won two more. So we'll see how this year goes.
Shit.
Ryan, I know that one of these years Ryan is he's gonna sweep it. He's gonna get.
I don't know about that.
He's just gonna sweep everything. I have a feeling. So let's just go down the list. What we'll do is we'll each read off our number 10s, and then I'll say what the actual number 10 was. We're using Box Office Mojo here to list the top 10 movies. And then at the end, we'll tally up the scores and claim a winner.
Oh.
So, Ryan, what did you have as your number 10 this year?
Vacation.
Vacation? And Kevin, what did you have?
I had Entourage.
Okay. And I had Terminator Genesis.
Ooh.
None of those were on the actual top 10, by the way.
Thank goodness.
I gotta say, this year, when I went back and did my score, this year was a big surprise. A lot of these I didn't expect to be where they are on this list. It was very, very surprising to me. The actual number 10 is Mad Max Fury Road.
Oh.
Yeah. So, number 9, I actually had Mad Max as my number 9.
Jerk.
Magic Mike XXL.
I had Terminator Genesis.
Okay. Terminator Genesis. Number 9 was San Andreas.
Okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah, that's a surprise. So, number 8, Ryan, what did you have?
Spy.
Spy?
Ooh.
Okay.
I had Pixels.
Pixels. And for my number 8, I had Pitch Perfect 2.
Oh.
Yeah.
Should have won higher.
The actual number 8 was Straight Outta Compton.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a huge surprise. That was that was a really big surprise. Number 7, Ryan, what'd you have?
Ted 2.
Oh, shit, I had Ted 2. 2.
And I also had Ted 2. So
Holy shit. Straight 7s.
yeah, which result in 0 points because Ted 2 had nothing. Ted 2 was actually number 15.
Good work, guys.
I didn't even see Ted 2. Did you guys see it?
No. I didn't see any of the movies that I named so far. I saw one movie out of the 10.
Shut
I saw a number of them. I didn't check to see how many. I saw a lot of them. Number 6, Ryan.
Wait, what was number 7?
Number 7 was I didn't read off the actual, did I? Ant-Man.
Yeah.
I got too many things open here. It's really confusing to me. I'm struggling. All right. Number 6, Ryan, what did you have?
Ant-Man.
I had Mad Max Fury Road.
And for number 6, I had Mission Impossible Rogue Nation actual Pitch Perfect 2. Number 5, Ryan, what do you have?
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
I have Ant-Man.
And my number 5 was Inside Out. The actual number 5, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
Number 4, Ryan, what do you have?
Inside Out.
Okay, and Kevin?
I have Pitch Perfect 2.
And I had Ant-Man. And the actual number 4 was Minions.
Oh, God. Just hearing that fucking title
Yeah.
puts me in the mood.
Yeah. Yep. Number 3, Ryan.
Minions.
I have Inside Out.
And I have Jurassic World, and the actual number 3 is Inside Out. Nice. Good job, Kevin.
Yes, it is.
Number 2's Ryan.
Jurassic World.
Oh shit, I have Jurassic World.
And I also have... Do I also have Jurassic World? No, I have Minions.
Ah,
Yeah. And the actual number 2 is Avengers Age of Ultron. Yeah, that's a pretty big surprise.
yeah.
And then number 1, I think we all had Avengers, and the actual number 1 was Jurassic World.
Unbelievable. Did
Yeah.
you even have Jurassic World on yours?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it at number 3.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got 5 points for that one. So the scoring works like this. You get 10 points if you got it right on. You get 7 if it's 1 off. You get 5 if it's 2 off. And you get 3 if it's anywhere on the list.
What? I thought there was one for like 13.
There is.
If you got-
If you get number 1 or number 10, it's 13 points.
Gotcha.
Did-
Which is odd that you get 13 points if you get number 10 on the nose. That's weird.
Yeah, it is kind of weird.
It's
We're-
weird.
We're basically just biting the scoring off of Time Travel Reviews. They do a big summer movie poll every year. So we're just straight up stealing it from them.
Oh, nice. At least we're honest about it.
Well, I'm telling you who it is. TimeTravelReviews.com. Check it out. There's a
Go
little
get
plug
it.
for them.
Get it?
All right, let's tally up the scores. Ryan, what's your score?
45.
Oh, shit. I got beat.
I think I got beat too because I have 44.
I have 37. So there you go.
Wow.
What?
Ryan wins.
Ryan did it.
Oh, my original score that I thought I had going into this was 50, and I was still like, man, that's way lower than last year. But that was when I thought that I had 10 points for Mad Max and 10 points for something else. I thought I got something else right on, but I didn't.
Look at this. Look at Ryan.
Comeback. Don't call it a comeback.
I have the biggest grin on my face right now.
Oh, I can tell. I can hear it in your voice. You sound so happy.
Okay, so let's just look at this a little bit here. Of my list, 2 of them were actually not even on there. Ryan, you had 1, 2, 3, 4.
What, 4 that weren't on the actual list?
4 of his picks were not on the actual top 10.
Same here. Did Ryan add his up right?
I think he did because he got Ant-Man right on the month. No, he didn't. What did he get?
I got Mission Impossible.
He got Mission Impossible right on the money.
And all the other ones were one off.
Yeah. Yeah, he did it right because I actually added your guys' up ahead of time. So I
got whooped up on.
Yeah.
I got beat.
So you guys, Kevin, you said you saw 1 of the 10?
Yeah, I saw 1.
Mad Max.
Yep.
Ryan, how many did you see out of the 10?
Jurassic World.
And I saw Mad Max, Straight Outta Compton, Ant-Man, Mission Impossible, Inside Out, Avengers, and Jurassic World. It's I think it's been a good summer for movies. However, not necessarily these movies. Do you know what I mean? There's been a lot of good movies, but most of them have been kind of in the indie space.
Yeah, but the top 10 that you just mentioned there, and I mean, I haven't seen them, but they're definitely, it's a far more interesting mix
I will say this.
than usual.
Maybe they're less decent movies. But there are a few in there that blew me away. Like Mad Max blew me away. Mission Impossible blew me away. So maybe there weren't a lot of movies that came out this summer that I just loved, like volume-wise, but there were several that came out that I will remember for years to come. You know what I mean?
There you go.
I mean, especially with Mad Max, that's going to most assuredly end up being my top movie of the year. So, let me quickly read off the runners up here. I'll read from 15 to 10, or from 16 to 11, let's say. We got Spy in number 11, followed by Trainwreck, Tomorrowland, Terminator Genesis, and Ted 2, and then Pixels. So,
Pixels.
Yeah.
Yes.
Pixels, number 16.
It's my jam.
I was surprised that Pitch Perfect 2 was number 6 on the list. I predicted that at 8. I really didn't think that... I thought that even including that on my list was kind of a long shot.
Not me. I knew all about it.
None of these movies broke a billion from the looks of it.
Ooh.
So, I would say it's a decent summer. Not amazing, not horrible. I don't know.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the summer, Ryan?
Alright, I was let down by Jurassic World.
I think everyone was.
I don't think so, considering it freaking killed it. Killed it at the box office, beat out Avengers.
Yeah, but I don't know if I really heard anyone say good things about that.
I said some good things.
Some, though.
Yeah.
What was the ratio? What was the ratio of good things?
It wasn't horrible. It wasn't horrible. It was like Maze Runner, you know? It wasn't horrible. It was serviceable.
The Jurassic World. Just not as good as the Maze Runner.
For me, Jurassic World didn't really fall apart till the end. And when that happens with big movies like this, it's really unfortunate because that tends to be the part you remember. How it didn't stick the landing. And up until, I'd say, the final act, really, Jurassic World was fantastic. It was great. I was loving it. And then just everything started going downhill towards the end, and I was like, not really on board with this anymore. I still say it wasn't bad by any means. So, all right, well, that's the summer of 2015. Ryan is the new champion, coming from behind.
This is my year at made-up sporting events.
Ryan, the Cinderella Man holes.
Made-up contest.
I feel like we need to bake you a cake or something.
No, we gotta get, like, buttons made.
Yeah.
And then you can pin that button to your Maze Runner vest.
Or we need to have a trophy, you know, like they do in the league with the Shiva.
There you go.
And whoever's the champion that year gets to keep the trophy.
There you go. Can it be a leather vest?
Yes, it will be a leather vest. Of course.
Either that or a duster. How about a duster? Because we're going into fall, so a duster would make more sense.
Yeah.
That's how you cap off the summer.
I like that idea. That's a good idea.
Well, film pulse dusters.
We'll develop this. All right, Ryan, thank you for coming on the show. We know you have many things to do, so we'll let you go and move on.
I've had a football plan.
Right. Get it.
There you go. All right, feel free to drop off, Ryan. We're going to go ahead and move on to our review this week. We're talking about Goodnight Mommy. Now, Kevin, you did see this movie, correct?
No, I didn't. What the? I'm messing with you. I did. What was that?
That was Ryan dropping off.
Oh, okay.
That scared you.
What the fuck?
You think somebody was in the room or something? Wait a minute. So Goodnight Mommy, directed by Severin Fiala and Veronica Franz. This came out in limited release this weekend. It's not on VOD. It's not wide release. So if it is playing in your city, I would say jump on it now while you can. It stars Lucas Schwartz, Elias Schwartz, and Suzanne West, we'll say.
Yeah.
I have a synopsis here. Twin boys move to a new home with their mother after she has face-changing cosmetic surgery, but under her bandages is someone the children don't recognize. Is it a new home?
That's what I was trying to figure out.
I don't think it's a new home, because even early on in the beginning of the movie, it seems like they've been there
and I thought
a while.
At one point, wasn't she trying to sell it? Because remember, they go to the computer and they're looking at
that
pictures.
that was actually one of the kind of plot points that made them think that really wasn't her.
Yeah.
Because they thought that it was some imposter. Okay, well,
Whatever.
let's try to talk about this as lightly as we can as far as spoilers.
I'm gonna say the spoiler right now.
I'm kind of pissed because I was totally gonna come up with a graphic for the people watching on YouTube, like a little spoiler graphic, so that people could mute the volume. And I totally ran out of time, forgot about it. So no, it's not that I ran out of time; it's actually that I forgot. So
you just don't even care about the listeners.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe what we'll do is
It's not. I mean, but is it really that much of a spoiler twist type thing?
Well, here
because it's pretty obvious, like early on.
It is, but I think that it is still a twist, and I think that. But also, that being said, I think that even if we did inadvertently give it away, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't take much away from the film as a whole.
No, it's not like that's the main.
Right. So I have a full review, a written review up for this on the site if you want to check it out. So we'll start with you, Kevin. What'd you think of Goodnight Mommy?
Oh, this is kind of tough because it's one of those movies that it's really well executed, and I really don't have that many faults with it. But at the same time, I don't want to watch this kind of thing ever. Please.
It is a tough movie. It's a very unnerving movie.
I'm still at that point where I can't understand how people find this entertaining. Or this is what I'm doing tonight. Especially a lot of the stuff at the end. I'm just I'm done. I don't want any more of this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a really good movie.
I think that it's interesting because I saw this many weeks ago now, and I've had a lot of time to kind of sit with it and let it stew in my brain. And often with what we do, we don't have that luxury, we don't have the time to be able to really let these movies process before we have to talk about them or write about them. And for this one, I came out of the screening that I went to liking it a lot, but it really started growing on me because it is one of those where I see a lot of movies like this, and it's only until maybe a few days or even a week later that I realized this really affected me. It really got under my skin.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie does. It gets under your skin and just kind of festers.
And I think my favorite thing about this is that it doesn't, or at least to me, it didn't seem like it relies on this whole idea of having a twist.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I thought it was pretty obvious.
There are
then where you're like, okay, I know what's going on.
And that's exactly what I said in my review. Most avid horror buffs, or even just movie buffs, will pick up on the twist very early on, but because they throw clues at you left and right. To me, it was even more. That sort of made it better because these little clues are kind of interwoven, and I thought that they did it better than some other movies that have similar twists.
Yeah, that most definitely.
Because typically I hate that twist.
Yes, exactly.
And I think that alone probably gave.
I was pretty trepidatious from the get-go because I was like, oh no.
But see, the thing is, they make you think that you're going to be disappointed because of that twist, but then they kind of pull the rug out from underneath you, and they're like, nope, that's not what this is about. Fuck you. That.
Yeah. Which that's what surprised me is that it does really get into. I did like the because it's more about her existential struggle or whatever you want to call it, where she's essentially trying to prove her existence, but she's trying to prove it to how old are they? 9-year-old?
9.
So she's trying to prove her existence to her 9-year-olds.
Mm-hmm.
Which, you got to try and figure out, how do the 9-year-old twins see you?
Yeah.
That you were able to prove yourself to them. Because what the 9-year-old twins see is completely different than who she actually is.
Especially after returning from a traumatic event,
Yeah, and then, she had she had a birthmark on her face or whatever.
Right.
That could easily prove who she is, but she had to have that removed during the surgery. So her easy way out is gone, and now you're trying to prove. You're essentially arguing with 9-year-olds that you are who you say you are, which arguing with 9-year-olds is terrible.
And it doesn't help the fact that for most of it, you have a mask on your face. You're bandaged up, you know, so they couldn't even see her at the beginning, and she wasn't acting to them. She wasn't acting normal because she wasn't.
And she's not. But 9-year-olds don't understand it. We watching and understand. She just had pretty intensive surgery done. She's going through a divorce. There's other things going on. Yeah, she's not going to be acting herself.
Exactly.
And plus, kids keeps fucking around with cockroaches.
Yeah.
I mean, shit.
Your kids are not acting normal. Let's put it that way.
Then they're just picking up cats that are finding cats that are rolling around on a pile of bones. And these kids are like, shit, let's take this cat home.
I love what they end up doing with the cat too. It's really bizarre. And that's kind of the next thing about this movie. It's very unsettling. There's a lot of unsettling imagery, a lot of things, I would say even shocking things that happen.
Yeah,
so
I would say that that's the most accurate description that you can use, is either unsettling or unnerving. It's not really scary in any
No, it's not.
It's
not scary in a traditional sense. It's more of a disturbing type of horror film.
Yeah.
There's no jumps. Well, there are some jump scares here and there, if I remember correctly, but they weren't like deliberate. They was just like, they weren't cheap or anything.
Well, I think they just kind of work as jump scares because the pacing of it sort of lulls you into it.
Yes, and that's the other thing I loved about this movie was the pacing. I thought that the pacing was just, for me, the pacing with the visuals, it was just perfection. I loved the kind of minimalistic look of this movie.
I mean, it's got that Austrian clinical, clean feel to it.
Meticulous framing. Just I loved all of that, and I thought that the very slow, methodical pacing was just, it was like they knew exactly how much information to feed you in order to keep your attention, keep you intrigued, and not bore you.
Yeah.
And just enough to kind of keep you on the edge of your seat, and then they just slowly...
And it teeters just for a little bit, at least it did with me. It teeters just a little bit where you're thinking like, okay, let's move this forward. And then it did exactly that, and it moved very forward.
Right when it gets to the edge, right when you're just like at your breaking point, where, because like you said, there's long stretches where there's not a whole lot going on here. I mean, these kids are trying to uncover this mystery, really, about who this woman is, and for portions of that, they're not really finding too much out.
No, it's more of a movie of it's like an Austrian version of like Kid Detectives.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're looking at pictures, they're exploring the house, they're trying to spy on her using different methods, and at one point it's just it does kind of hit a wall almost, where you're just like right about to tune out, and then once that hits, they crank it up, and you're just like, okay, whoa, it's just
it's like, and this is not what I wanted.
Yeah. It's like you wanted it to ramp up. Well, here you fucking go, Kevin. Eat it.
And I'm just, looking away from the screen the entire time.
Yeah, the whole rest of the movie, you're looking through your hands, and you're just like, oh no, this isn't what I wanted at all. It's great. I thought that it was just so wonderfully done, and Veronica Franz, I don't know. She wrote the screenplay for this, but she also did the Paradise trilogy, which obviously I was a big fan of that one. Big fan of those movies.
Yeah, this is something.
Yeah,
this is something.
There have been a lot of really, really solid horror movies that came out this year. This has been a really fantastic year for horror movies. It's actually, usually I struggle to find 10 movies to put on my top 10 at the end of the year. This year's going to be easy. Yeah.
Year's easy.
Yep, absolutely.
So cockroaches.
Yeah, so that's Cockroaches definitely play a big part in this movie. They're in it a lot.
Who lets their kids have cockroaches?
And not just a couple, not a handful, like so many that probably a quarter of that fish tank was filled with cockroaches.
It's a wealth of cockroaches.
I mean,
no one needs that many cockroaches.
Yeah, it was disgusting. And that there's a scene that happens with the cockroaches and the mother. Oh my god, that scene.
There's so many scenes with cockroaches.
Everybody in the theater was losing it during that scene. Because you just knew what was going to happen, and it was just so horrifying.
You're a terrible mother. I'm sorry. Kids shouldn't be having cockroaches. What the fuck's going on in Austria?
Yeah, out of all the pets, why would you choose that also leads me to believe that they're not in a new home, because there's that one scene where they show them finding another one and adding it to their collection.
Yeah.
And it just seems like these kids know the house. They know the property that they're on. They know the land.
And they know where to find cats. You go to the mass grave.
Yeah.
With all the bones and skulls, and get yourself a cat.
Wow. Great performances by the two kids, Lucas.
Oh, they were creepy as shit.
And Elias Schwartz, first time actors. And you know how I am about child actors, Kevin.
I was waiting for you to just
rip them apart.
Yeah.
No, I'm not, because they were really good.
Yeah, they creeped me out.
Yeah, I thought that the kids did quite a good job, especially considering the type of stuff they have to do in this movie.
Well, that's another thing. I mean, they look like they were professionals with those cockroaches. I wonder if they were just their own cockroaches.
I don't know, but they didn't have a problem handling them. I sure as hell would have.
I would. You couldn't get me close.
Yeah, the director would be like, "Oh, you got to stick your hand in there and pull out some cockroaches, and put them in a mason jar," and I'd be like, "Nope, sorry,
I retire as an actor. Sorry."
Yeah, you're gonna have to get a stunt double to do that shit. I'm not sticking my hand in that tank. No way.
Oh god.
I'd be like, "Fuck that and fuck you. I'm out," and just walk.
Oh god.
Yeah. What's her name? Suzanne West did a good job too as the mother ?
Oh, is she?
Yeah, I thought she did a pretty good job as well. A lot of really, those are the three main characters. The three of them, the entire movie hinges on those three characters. So you really got to stick it, and I thought that they all did a fantastic job.
Yeah, there's not really much to. There's not a lot of negatives to speak of.
No. The only thing that had me even concerned was that twist, and I was really worried. Because I really hate that kind of when things go that direction, but yeah, it worked in this case, which is really surprising to me. So, all right, any final thoughts on Goodnight Mommy?
It's really unsettling.
Yeah, probably not a good date movie.
No. I made the mistake of watching this, and earlier in the day I watched Come and See, the World War II movie, which was extremely unsettling. So that day was just fucking nightmare. Fucking terrible day.
Well, I saw The Boy, which is another really heavy, crazy kid movie, and then like the next day I saw this one. So that was a rough week for me as well. But
damn kids.
So I gave Goodnight Mommy an 8 out of 10 on the site. Kevin, what are you giving Goodnight Mommy out of 10?
I'll probably give it. Oh boy, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, see, when I wrote my review, and then it was time to put in the score, which is always the most dreaded part of any review. And I picked a score, and I was like, let me go back and think about any issues I had with this. And it was like, there were so few. I mean, this movie, we kind of glossed over the visual. Well, no, we talked about it a little bit, but visually it was on point for me. So I had to go with the 8.
Going with the 8. I'm gonna go with the 8.5.
8.5. Wow.
Yeah.
Had to one up me there, didn't you?
You're damn right I did.
Goodnight Mommy. Seek this one out.
Yeah.
Yes, it is disturbing. Yes, it is unsettling. It's very tense. It is a movie that will not make you feel good after you see it. However, it is extremely, extremely good. I mean, it'll probably land on the top of my horror movie list, but it also will probably land somewhere in my top 10 overall.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So, seek this one out. I sincerely hope that they push this to more theaters or VOD at some point. I know that this is up for some awards consideration. Radius is putting it out, so the Weinsteins are behind it.
Yeah, I think it was. Isn't it Austria's?
Yeah, it's Austria's. I don't know if it's their final pick or if
I
it's
think it's their
on their.
final. Good luck with that. Austria.
Yeah, good luck with that one. Yeah,
I appreciate your move, but I don't think it's gonna work.
I don't think so either. So, Goodnight Mommy in limited release right now. Absolutely, check it out. Before we get into some of what we've been watching, I just wanted to briefly touch on the Hardcore trailer that came out today. Now,
Hardcore.
This movie, we haven't been talking too much about news and trailers and things on the show lately, but I just had to mention this because I knew about the movie. I was excited about the movie. I'm familiar with the director. I loved the Bad Motherfucker video.
Mm-hmm.
Loved that music video. That's like one of my favorite music videos. I thought it was so well done. So the trailer for Hardcore came out. And this is the same director that did that music video. Feature-length film done from a first-person point of view. I'm so excited for this. Did you watch this? I sent you a text.
Sure did.
What'd you think about this?
It's quite impressive. The only thing that I'm kind of leery about is like how well is that going to work for a feature length?
A feature?
You know
that is a concern. This just premiered at TIFF, I think last night, and everybody that saw it's just raving about it on Twitter. They're saying it's just insane. So hopefully it works. It works good. The thing that I think you almost have to have a story. There has to be a story. You know, that's one of my concerns is there a story to back this up? Because
that's kind of what I'm thinking. You know, the intermittent lulls that you're gonna have, unless it's just action 24/7. But
it might be
what I mean? Like the intermittent lulls that you're gonna have, where you're like trying to push the story forward, like that from first person point of view is gonna be. It's not gonna be good.
It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough because even during those lulls, it's still gonna feel kinetic. It's still gonna feel like you're, in an action scene, even if it's just two people talking, because his head's gonna be moving around. He's gonna be looking at stuff. They're really gonna milk the first person thing.
Well, that's the thing that also worries me, because even watching the trailer, some of those action sequences, there's so much movement and you can't really see what's going on.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be really chaotic. That one scene, though, there's a scene where a dude gets knocked through a window, I believe, or something on a stairwell, and he's getting shot while he's in the air. That scene just looks insane to me.
There's a number of scenes that look pretty insane.
I'm really excited about
cars, blowing up cars.
Yeah. But the thing about it is it looks good. Like it looks like it's going to be choreographed and filmed in a way that just looks awesome. And I'm sure because again, that music video, they did a really good job with it in that music video. So
yeah,
I'm really excited about it. I think that it's exactly what we need in an action movie, because honestly, I feel like the action genre has stagnated over the last couple years aside from The Raid.
Yeah, and it seems like you get The Raid, and then everything else action-wise is just trying to capture that nostalgia feel, where everything, you know what I mean, they're trying to like redo the 90s or whatever.
Right, like the Expendables and stuff.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, can we something fresh, something new.
Well, I think hardcore is definitely something new. It's the first movie to ever be shot in a first-person point of view.
I'm sure you're thinking the same thing.
Well,
the thing that scares me the most with this is the litany of knockoffs
yeah,
that are going to come subsequent.
Oh
God.
Let me correct myself really quickly. It's the first action movie to be shot in first person. There have been other movies shot in first person, like Enter the Void was all first person, if I remember correctly. But
yeah, it's
I do see a lot of
movies.
Sure. I see a lot of copycats happening. that's I mean, especially if it's really successful and it gains a big following. Yeah, we're gonna see a lot of that.
It's gonna be something.
But I'm hoping
it's gonna be a shit show.
The thing about it though is that shooting a movie like that has to be a hell of a lot harder than shooting a found footage horror movie.
True.
So I'm hoping that the technical constraints of that movie will help keep it safe from the copycats.
Hopefully.
What we'll probably see is generic action movies that use first person but aren't fully first person like that. And I was thinking like where we're heading towards VR, you know, we're like they're already shooting movies using VR cameras. They're talking about Ready Player One, the Spielberg adaptation. They're talking about shooting some of that with VR and making it VR. A movie like this in VR, I mean, it'd probably make me throw up, but still, that would be insane to see. I would really like to see that. So, check out the trailer for Hardcore if you haven't. It is it's a restricted trailer, I believe. It's pretty violent. So, all right, let's talk about some of them watching. We'll start off with you, Kevin. What'd you see this week?
Oh, okay. The first one I saw was Nocturnal Uproar from 1979. Catherine Breillat. This is it's kind of a familiar idea. It's a film director working on editing their film and just sexual escapades left and right. But it's a little bit different because it's written and directed by a woman and the film director is played by a woman in the film. So it's get it from a different perspective, which far more interesting than what I usually see from this type of narrative. And it's like how do I want to say this? It's kind of like softcore porn. Like the sex is pretty real looking, which I think is just real sex. Honestly,
could be.
Probably. I don't know. I can't tell those things.
I've seen a few of those. Actually, the streaming service. I keep meaning to mention this on the show, and I keep forgetting that streaming service, exploitation.tv, is out now, and a lot of those movies that are on that. I don't know if you looked at their lineup, but a lot of them are X-rated, like softcore porn type movies, or they might even be straight up porn. I think some of them are just straight up porn movies.
Well, yeah, like during the 70s, that was like a murky area.
See that
considered real cinema.
Yeah, that's the thing. Back then, there wasn't that much of a distinction between a film and a porn. You went to the theater to see them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
and they made money.
Yes, they did.
But this one is so Solange is the female director, and she's finished her movie and she's working on editing it. And then at the same time as she sort of surrenders over control of the editing process to her editor, she gets involved with this other director, and she normally does whatever she wants. She's married, but they have an open marriage. All this type of things going on. She sleeps with whoever she wants to sleep with. And she kind of manipulates all these sexual encounters that she has. But this one is different, where he doesn't play by her rules and he starts making his own rules. And she kind of surrenders to him, and then she kind of loses herself in a way, and then kind of gets into rumination bits about identity and whatnot, all that good stuff, existential crises, art, get that art. But I it's like a light recommend if you can search it out. It is on Fandor, and I think it's but on Fandor, I think it's called Night After Night.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a soundtrack from Serge Gainsbourg on there. It's quite interesting.
Okay. And that's Nocturnal Uproar. Check that bad boy out on Fandor. Little sexcapade.
Get your sescapades.
I saw a movie called Brave Men's Blood. This came out, when was that? Sometime last week, I believe. It's an action, it's kind of a procedural cop thriller. Very realistic procedural. So any of the shootouts, any of the car chases, they're not really high octane, high energy. They're very real. Everything feels very real in this movie. This is an Icelandic film, and it's actually a sequel to a film called, what's it called? City State. So it's a sequel to that. However, I didn't know that going into it, that it was a sequel. So, it's a separate story, but some of the characters are the same. So I have a feeling that if I saw City State, some of the characters would have more depth to them. For instance, there's a female officer named Andrea. And in this film, it's clear that there was some sort of traumatic event that happened to her in the past. We learned that she was attacked and that she's kind of getting back on her feet, and she was taking all these kind of personal defense classes and stuff. And she was regaining her strength after, this horrible home invasion style attack that I believe happened to her, which I think happened in the first movie, because she was the main character in the first movie. In this movie, the main character is a guy who he tries out to be on the secret police, or the special police rather, and he flunks out. He doesn't make it. But he does end up getting a job as a high-ranking officer in internal affairs. And his dad is this kind of retired hero cop. Everybody looks up to his dad. His dad's famous. And he's just trying to make a name for himself. He's trying to get out of his dad's shadow. He's playing everything straight by the book. He's not a dirty cop or anything like that. Mm-mm. And what happens right away, as soon as he gets his new job in internal affairs, there's a bust. This former mob boss gets busted and tells him that the head of narcotics is corrupt, and that he is working with the new drug boss.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
So what happens in the film is basically this guy forms a team which has Andrea, the female that was in the first film, and this other guy, and they kind of form a secret task force to try to weed out the corrupt narcotics officers and eventually bring them down. It's a solid movie. I was thoroughly entertained by it. I think the problem with it, and the reason that nobody's talking about it, hardly anybody's even seen this movie. It's only 20 people that saw it on Letterboxd. Is that it's average. It's good. Mm. Yeah. The cinematography is awesome. It looks really good. It's got that kind of shaky. It's like a handheld cam. It's very gritty, almost documentary-like. I would compare it to a David Ayer movie, maybe. So it looks really good, and the characters are interesting and likable. And so there's like almost nothing wrong with it. But when I was writing a review for it, I was like, what do I say about this movie? It's like the story is just, it's average. There's nothing that makes this movie stand out as something special.
You're just describing what the movie's about. It sounded like 40 other movies.
Yeah, it's not boring. I don't mean to make it sound like it's a boring film. It's not. If you see it, you'll enjoy it. It's like good.
Like a really good piece of toast.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
it's still just a piece of toast.
Yeah, maybe raisin toast. We'll say it's a decent piece of cinnamon raisin toast.
Okay.
Because toast.
If you like your cinnamons and raisins together.
Well, yes, but
you just turned me off of this movie. I had it thought of as toast, which I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. Then you said cinnamon raisin, and I'm like, fuck no, get away from me.
Ugh. You're one of those people. One of those non-cinnamon raisin people. Get out of here. Get out of here.
There's actually cinnamon raisin people in the world?
Yeah, there are, and I happen to be one of them. So there you go.
Well, yeah. Get your life figured out.
At any rate,
shit right now.
Brave Men's Blood. solid Icelandic cop thriller.
It's like cinnamon raisin toast. I wish they would put that on the poster.
If you want to read
big block letters.
If you want to read cinnamon raisin, they should. That should be in my pull quote. If you want to read my full review on this movie, you can check it out. It's up on the site right now.
All right. I watched White God. I'm trying to think of what kind of toast White God would be.
Peanut butter? Peanut butter.
I don't know. Whatever it is, it's not a good piece of toast.
I read your review on Letterboxd, and this is another one of these situations where I see your point, and I agree with it to an extent, but I still thought that this movie was fantastic.
Let's get right off the bat. Let's get the good out of the way. All the dog acting in this movie is insane.
It's incredible.
It's ridiculous.
There are so many dogs in this movie, and they used all stray dogs except for the main dogs.
Yeah, Hagen's unbelievable. I mean, Hagen's the best actor in this entire movie. I can't remember what the real dogs' names were that played Hagen, but
I don't remember.
Holy shit! But everything involving like the humans is garbage.
Well, see, that's the problem I had, and I agree with you that what happens in the movie is it splits. There's two stories being told concurrently. One is the human story, one is the dog story. When they cut to the human story, you tune out completely because it's boring and dumb.
He doesn't even know what he's doing with the human story. Like, first off, it's like after a while she decides, like, oh, I'm gonna try and find my dog. Like a week and a half later. Like, you should have jumped on that a little bit earlier. And then she's playing in some sort of orchestra, which I don't understand their orchestra. What's going on there? Because there's like 47-year-olds in with she's like 11. And the orchestra just makes no sense to me. And it seems entirely too strict for like a community orchestra thing going on.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about.
Whatever. And her dad is just a ridiculous caricature. And then they all of a sudden they kind of move towards this. There's this weird relationship that Lily, the main girl, has with like this boyfriend and girlfriend that are in the orchestra, where they're like going to parties or something. And I don't even know what the hell they were trying to do there outside of, she gets picked up and goes to jail. But I mean, all that is just ridiculously drawn out. I don't understand the point of any of it. And then finally the dogs rise up and you're like, oh, thank God, tear all their throats out, which they pretty much do. And it's amazing.
Yeah.
Because that ending's pretty badass.
Yeah, everything with the dogs, amazing. Loved it. Everything without the dogs, boring.
And I wish, and the only thing with the dogs that I didn't like was the dog fighting just seemed gratuitous. It's just overly drawn out, I thought.
Yeah, that didn't.
It's just a bit much for me. I don't need that.
Supposedly this is supposed to be his take on kind of like a genre film. This is his version of a ridiculous, over-the-top genre film.
Yeah, which, I mean, it does, like, the stuff with the dogs plays like a B movie. The stuff with the humans, I don't know what the hell that's going for. I mean, it feels like a, foreign art house bullshit. And it's just a weird mix. It just doesn't go together. I didn't think, at least. I know, like, the metaphor that he's going for, the allegory, whatever it is, just, it doesn't work at all. I don't understand what he's trying to say. And I don't think he does either.
I think his voice gets a little muddled in it.
Well, yeah, and I think it's especially when it gets to that end, like everything just goes out the window.
Pretty much.
Because he wants it to be that, he wants to entertain.
Yeah.
So it's a weird movie. It's kind of surprising that played at Cannes.
It's definitely an odd movie. It's definitely, but I thought that it was just it was such a spectacle to me to see what they were able to do with these dogs. It's
Yeah,
just crazy.
The ending alone, when the dogs finally get out, the the logistics of making that work and filming that, I mean that's impressive.
No, even how you get
And then
how you even do that? Like, how do you do it?
I don't know.
How do you get them
I
to
would,
all run like that? I mean, these are not trained dogs.
well, honestly, this is one of those instances where watching the behind the scenes making of, I think, would be a lot more interesting to watch instead of the actual film itself.
Yeah, it could be.
Like, I just need to see how they did the end.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got a white god situation going on over there.
It's a neighbor dog. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes he just randomly barks, but it's really loud. So that's White God. Kevin hates it. I like it.
It's on Netflix Instant now.
I've been meaning to rewatch it because this was on my top 10 of the top 10 movies of the year early on, and then it started getting pushed down and down and down and down, and I don't know where it's at right now on my list, but yeah, I wanted to try to reevaluate. It's at number 18 on my list right now.
Ooh.
So, let's see. I saw a horror film called The Hallow.
Okay.
I don't know how much I want to say about this because it doesn't come out until November, I think.
Ooh.
But it's an Irish horror film directed by Corin Hardy. It's about a family who move into this remote cabin. I guess it's not really a cabin. It's more of just a kind of a farmhouse in the countryside, and the townsfolk are kind of acting a little bit weird towards them. They're saying, stay out of the woods, don't go in the forest. What are you doing? You should leave. You shouldn't be here. And of course, the guy's like, he works for. They never say specifically who he works for, but I think it's sort of like a forestry type job, where they early on they show him kind of going through the forest and marking trees to be cut down. I don't think that he's like working for a logging company or anything like that. So I don't think it's like a bad job that he has. I think that he's maybe trying to thin forests out or clear out dead trees or something.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, they have a young child, and eventually some weird things start to happen. They think that it's the townspeople messing with them, but actually it's the creatures of the forest. So this plays with Irish mythology. So we're talking not leprechauns, but damn it, what are they called? Not banshees either, but just changelings. There's changelings in it, and just creatures, basically. These creatures. And it kind of plays out like another horror film that I actually really liked that came out a few years ago called Splinter, which was about this kind of mysterious black ooze that could infect you, and it could like grow spines and stuff. And it's actually a lot like how the stuff in this works. He starts seeing this black goo everywhere, and it's very spiny. And I actually really like this movie. It's pretty tense at times. I've been kind of in the mood for a good creature feature because I feel like we haven't had a good monster movie in a long time. And this definitely did it for me. The people act dumb sometimes. They make some stupid decisions, but there's some crazy stuff that happens, and a lot of the effects work in this is practical, and it looks really good. And there's some really gross shit that happens in this movie, and I had a blast with it. It's a really fun movie. Interestingly, my girlfriend just got back from a trip to Ireland the week that I watched this, and she went to the Leprechaun Museum in Dublin. Or I don't know if it was in Dublin, but it was somewhere in Ireland. And she said that they took like a tour or whatever, and she said a lot of the creatures that they're talking about in this movie, they talked about there at the museum. So it's a pretty deep kind of a folklore thing.
Ooh, I like folklore horrors.
Yeah.
That's always good stuff.
Yeah, I recommend this one. I'm not sure. It might be too,
too goofy?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I think you'd probably like it overall, though. It's a fun horror film. It's not very deep or anything.
Yeah, you don't fucking know me. All right.
No, I don't. Considering you're over there watching softcore porn all week.
Double billing it with White God.
Anyway, that's the Hallow. It is out, I think, in November.
Yeah, all right. I mentioned it earlier. I watched Come and See from 1985. This is kind of seen as like one of the greatest anti-war films. And first off, this fucker is unflinching. Like, it shows the horrors of World War II, and I mean, it shows them. And wow, it's a rough one to sit through. And essentially, there's a young boy. I think he's about like 13 years old. He's Russian, and he's digging on the beaches trying to find himself a rifle so he can join the army and fight the Nazis. And he ends up finding one, and he goes off and he joins. But they ended up not taking him along, and he's asked to stay back at the camp. And he kind of gets upset about it, and he sort of traverses the countryside and runs into a number of horrors that he gets to see. And man, it is something. The camera work in this film is just unbelievable. How they're choreographing the war scenes and how the camera moves through it, and it's so fluid and there's so much movement. It's quite impressive. And the sound design is also quite impressive, because what happens, like one of the first things that he sees in the war is he's in the middle of the forest when the airplanes come through and drop a shit ton of bombs. And the way they do the bombs is just ridiculous, because they just blow up the forest and film it. And it's insane. Well, and of course this leaves him deaf. So then that plays into the sound design for the rest of the movie, where everything's kind of distorted and muffled. And it's quite an experience. It is one of those things where it's a fantastic film, and it's an important film, and you should see it. But at the same time, you got to prepare yourself, because it's over 2 hours long too, and it's just, There's an extended sequence where the Nazis come into, because it's all about Belarus. How I think that at the end it said the Nazis burned down, like, I don't know if it was like 368 villages or something like that. I could be completely off on the number. But they show an extended sequence of the Nazis coming in and burning down an entire village, and how they round up everyone and put them in a barn and essentially lock them in and then light it on fire.
Ugh.
And it just plays out. And, whew, Jesus Christ.
This is a really awesome poster on Letterboxd.
Yeah, the main actor goes through some shit.
Well, I read that here the one blurb says that most of the shooting was real, and that they killed a cow in front of the child actor, and he got traumatized by it.
Yeah, there's a lot of the guns that they use apparently had live ammunition in them. And there's a sequence where the kid and another soldier, they steal a cow, and they're running across the countryside with this cow. And what they don't know is that they're kind of in the middle of a firefight that breaks out, and he has to lay down on the ground to cover himself. And there are live rounds that are whizzing past him, which is unbelievable. Because by the look, when I was watching, I didn't know this while I was watching it. To me, it kind of looked fake.
Mm-hmm.
So to read that afterwards, it's like, okay, so you had a first-time non-actor, 13 years old, lying on the ground, and live ammunition whizzing past him overhead, like 4 inches from his face. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
That is reckless.
How did you see this?
I got this on the DVD, which I think it might actually be on Fandor. I'm not sure.
This is one that I've had on my list forever, but I just can't bring myself to do it. Maybe since you did it this week, I'll do it next week or something.
Same here. I mean, this has been on my list for ages, and this is part of my film viewing resolutions or whatever, that I forced myself this year. That is like, you know what, you're never going to be in the mood for this. you're never going to be prepared to watch this kind of thing.
That's like when I decided to go for watching Irreversible this year. It's like, let's just do it. Let's get it over with.
Yeah.
I saw Listening. This is a newly released science fiction film, hard sci-fi. I'm a big fan of the hard sci-fi. The lower budget hard sci-fi. And this was okay. I wasn't blown away by it, but I like the ideas behind it. So the premise is these 3 grad students at Caltech figure out a way to essentially create a machine that enables telepathy. It allows people to read other people's minds. And with that, there's all these moral implications that are raised. You know, in this day and age where the NSA is constantly surveying us and everything that we're doing is being recorded and watched, and, you know, social media has like our whole lives broadcast for everybody. One of the few places that we're truly free is within our own mind. And what this film kind of attempts to look at is, what if something was developed that took that freedom away from us? And so after these young people develop this technology, it's quickly stolen by the CIA. And
Hell yeah.
And the 2 guys, it turns out that one of that's kind of a spoiler. Basically, the 3 people that developed this end up going to work for the government to develop this thing further and further, because what they want to do is turn it into a weapon. They want to be able to influence thought. They don't want to just read people's thoughts. They want to influence thought so that, you know, you can input a command in a computer and that person does that thing. So essentially mind control.
Yeah.
So the premise is great. I loved all that. The problem is they rarely touch on the things that I wanted them to with it. Like I said, the moral implications, they talk about it, but they don't really go deep enough into it. They spend way more time on the relationships between these 3 people. And there's this sort of love triangle thing that they briefly touch on it, but they never go anywhere with it. So like, why even put it in there to begin with? A lot of the movie is spent on the relationship between the main guy and his wife, because their marriage is crumbling because he's spending all of his time working on this project, and they're out of money and they're going to get evicted from their house, and he's supposed to help his kid with her science project, but he's spending all his time doing this thing. So there's this kind of rift, this chasm that's forming between the 2 of them, and they spend so much time on this, and it's like, we don't want to see that. You know, you established the characters. The characters were established early on in the movie. We know who they are. Let's stick with the science stuff, you know, the intrigue.
That's what we came here for.
But see, the thing is that it would be one thing if those aspects went somewhere, but they don't. They throw everything aside, and by the end, you realize that none of that there was no point to any of that stuff with his wife and the love triangle and all of that. It was just, there was needless. There's no reason for it after you see where things go. That being said, I was still pretty adequately entertained by it. It was such a good idea. It was like right there, you know, it was on the cusp of being really awesome, but it just never fully went there. So can't really. I do have a full review for this one up on the site, so you can read it if you're interested. I think that this is available on VOD right now, so you can check it out. It's called Listening. Do you have anything else?
No, I'm done.
All right, I'll just mention one more, and that's The Visit, directed by M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh shit.
Yeah, saw The Visit this week. The reason that I saw it is because it was actually getting quite good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of people were saying that it was pretty good. It has a 60-something on Rotten Tomatoes, so I was like, hey, why not? You know, the trailer looks good. I was still a little apprehensive going into it.
Yeah.
End result, no, I was not into it. I don't get it. Why are critics loving this movie? It completely perplexes me. The only thing that I can come up with is that they don't see that many found footage movies, because this movie is just like every other found footage movie. There's nothing that sets it apart. The only thing that sets it apart is that it looks better. Like, as far as technically, it looks better. You know, the framing is better. Just the quality of the visuals is better than most of those really crappy straight to VOD found footage movies. He doesn't do too much of the picture getting messed up, you know, like the digital tearing and all that crap. He doesn't really do that in this, which is always good, but there's just so many things about it that are the same pitfalls that every bad found footage movie falls for. Like, how can we hear them? You know, they're filming somebody that's standing 100 feet away and we can hear them talk. We know that they're not mic'd up. You know, where's the sound coming from? It's technical things like that just grate on me when I see these movies. And I get it. Most people have a suspension of disbelief where it's just, they don't see any of that stuff and they believe it, you know, they go into it. But for me, I can't separate it. I can't pull myself out of it and just believe that this is a documentary.
Yeah. And
that's how it's set up. So basically the two kids are going to spend the week with their grandparents for the first time. They've never met their grandparents before. And they're going to spend a week with them, and the girl, I think her name is Becca, she's 16, and she decides that she wants to make a documentary. She's an aspiring filmmaker. So she wants to make a documentary of the whole thing. And that's how they justify the constant filming. She has 2 cameras that she takes with her, and her brother film everything. There's more comedy in it than I expected. It's actually pretty funny at times. And the twist, you know, everybody wants to know, is the twist any good? And I'll say it's actually not bad. It's much more grounded than any of his other movies. And I knew what the twist was. It's easy to pick out what the twist is going to be. And even if you know what the twist is, it doesn't change the movie that much. So in that regard, I will say that yes, it is his best movie since, you know, I don't know, Signs. So probably for the last 10 years.
Yeah. So
it's not horrible, but it is a found footage horror film. It checks off all the boxes. It is very tense at times, although I will say most of the big scares you see in the trailer, which is unfortunate, but the thing about that is the trailer really doesn't capture the atmosphere that this movie gives. The very, very creepy atmosphere that looms throughout this house that they're staying in. And, you know, as far as the horror aspects, I'd say it's pretty effective. But I still can't recommend it, especially if you already have seen a lot of found footage movies, because it's just, there's really nothing here that elevates it above any of the other ones. In fact, I could probably give you 10 or 15 found footage movies that are better than this one.
Gotcha.
So that's The Visit.
Sounds slightly interesting that I might check out. Might check that out down the road.
You'll spot the twist early, but it's a pretty good twist. I mean, it's pretty creepy. It's good. I'll tell you one thing, and this is not a spoiler. I'm just going to tell you all what it is not. And because at one point, I was like, oh shit, he's going to go really crazy. No, you know what? I'm not even going to say it. But it's not what you... At one point, you think that it might be something that's really crazy, like really out there, and it's not that. He reins it back in a bit. So.
Gotcha. So they're all dead.
Nope. It's nothing. It's nothing crazy like that. It's all. That would probably even be a spoiler. I was gonna say it's. No, I'm not even gonna say anything else.
Shut your face and move on. You
all
flip flopping.
Right. I am. All right. Let's go ahead.
You want to so badly.
I know. I want to talk about it. But whatever. Let's move on. Talk about some predictions. Last week, The Visit. I said 32. You said 10. Actual 62.
Look at that.
Yeah. And we also had The Perfect Guy. I said 24. You said 26. Actual 25.
Isn't that the one? That's the one that won this weekend, isn't it?
I don't know. Probably.
Yeah.
I know
That's
that
the #1 film.
I know that The Visit did horribly.
Yeah.
I know that it was his third lowest opening weekend.
It'll be interesting though to see what it does this weekend coming up.
Yeah, once people start talking about it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's definitely one of those movies. I don't know though.
It's a creeper.
Maybe.
Well, we'll see.
I don't know. Well, there's some heavy competition this week though, so I think it's gonna fall. I think it's gonna be done.
Yeah, I have no idea what's coming out this weekend.
Well, let's talk about it.
Please tell me.
Black Mass. That's the Whitey Bulger one with Johnny Depp.
Okay.
I'm interested.
Sure.
What are you thinking on this one?
I'm thinking 48.
I think it's gonna be a lot better than that. I think that I'll say 62 on that one.
Okay.
I'm actually somewhat interested in it. We also have The Maze Runner, The Scorch Trials.
Oh, those Scorch Trials.
Or I think they might have dropped the in this one. So I think it's just called Maze Runner, The Scorch Trials. I don't know.
You can only have one the.
Yeah, because it sounds weird. It sounds a little redundant when you say The Maze Runner, The Scorch Trials.
I would have just called it Scorch Trials.
All right. I'll say. Well, the first one got a 60-something, so I'm gonna say. You know what? I'm gonna say 62 on that one also.
Oh shit! I'm gonna say 58.
It's interesting. That was my first. That was like my gut. My gut said 58, but I was like, nah, I think it's gonna be a little bit more.
I stuck with my gut.
Nice, good job. Everest. I'm not excited for this one. I'm just not. I usually like these types of movies too, and I'm just for this one. It just doesn't look different enough to me.
Yeah. From
the other mountain climbing disaster type movies.
I
mean, they're touting it as an IMAX style movie, so maybe the trick is to go see it at the IMAX and it'll be really impressive. But I'm probably not going to pay for that. What are you thinking on this one?
I'm thinking like a 60.
60? Okay. I'm gonna say 64 on that one.
Okay.
And finally, we have Sicario.
Ooh.
Have you been watching Narcos on Netflix?
No, I have not.
You should check that out. Woof.
Should I?
Talk about some horrific imagery. The way that they do that show is they almost present it like a documentary. It's definitely a docudrama. They even have little disclaimers at the beginning of the show saying that everything is like as true to life and accurate as possible, and everything is based on real accounts and all of this stuff. And in the show, when they show like news clips and newspaper clippings and photos, it's all real. It's all real stuff. So like whenever they show, it's about Pablo Escobar, for those of you that aren't familiar. Whenever they show, like, for instance, when the first time he got arrested, when they would show his picture, it'd be the actual photo. It wouldn't be, you know what I mean? It wouldn't be the actor playing him. It was like the actual one.
Well, I mean, Sicario's got me excited because one of the plot keywords is flip-flops, the shoes.
Oh my god.
Flip-flops, the shoes.
I am really excited about Sicario. I'm actually going to...
I want to know how flip-flops, the shoes, play a part in Sicario.
I'll tell you. I'm actually going to see this on Wednesday. I'm going to an early screening. Let's see. I'm going to say 78.
Ooh, I'm going to say 64.
I'm a pretty big Villeneuve fan, so...
Yeah. This one just, I don't know. Doesn't look that special.
I think it looks pretty good. In limited release next week, we have Cooties, Captive, Pawn Sacrifice, Hellions. I'm actually excited about Hellions. Some Kind of Hate. It's another horror movie. Next week on Video On Demand, we have Uncle John, Cooties. I am going to rewatch Cooties. We might actually... Are you interested in reviewing that on the show?
Sure.
We might review that on the show because I heard that they changed the ending. It's a completely different ending than when it originally screened at Sundance. So
can you do that? You can't do that.
Apparently they reshot it and everything. So I'm very curious to see how it's different. I also have Some Kind of Hate, Eden, and Hellions. Maybe we'll also review Hellions. We'll talk about it later.
Get it figured out.
Next week on Blu-ray, got a number of good ones next week. We got Furious 7, Cinderella. I mean, I'm not saying that those are good, but those are the first two that I'm seeing. The Legacy is coming out from 1978. Love and Mercy, that's that Beach Boys one with John Cusack.
Mm-hmm. Which heard good things about.
I just wasn't too interested in that one.
That's one of those that when it comes on Netflix instant and I, have nothing to do one Saturday night and I got myself a bottle of whiskey, I'll pop it on.
I think it's heavily about mental illness. A lot of it's about mental illness, and I'm just like,
Correct.
Disney's Monkey Kingdom. We'll have a Blu-ray review of that one up on the site. Let's see. Arrow is releasing The Beast and Immoral Tales from 74 and 75.
Nice.
Spaced Invaders from 1990 is getting a Blu-ray release. Remember Spaced Invaders?
What the hell?
Do you remember that thing? I might have to rewatch that.
I don't think I remember that.
It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous kids movie. Let's see. The Jinx. A whole bunch of the Bond films are getting re-released. I wish they'd stop doing that. I wish they'd stop re-releasing all of the Bond movies every time a new one comes out.
Yeah, please stop.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. Empire. I don't know why I mentioned that. It's a TV show.
We don't even know what movies are anymore.
Reality. There's so many TV shows that are interspersed.
You can't pick them all out.
There's like 50 different NCISs coming out.
Lord.
That's pretty much it.
Oh, we have one Criterion. That's Kieslowski's Blind Chance from 1981, which I'm not sure if I saw this.
81?
81. 1981. I've seen a boatload of Kieslowski's, but I don't know if I can't remember if I saw Blind Chance. I'm going to say no, I haven't. So I can't suggest it to you one way or the other. Okay. You're just going to have to figure it out on your own.
I probably won't.
I'm of no help, as usual.
Also, this says 87 on my list, but...
Fuck your list.
And on IMDb, I just double-checked.
Well, on Criterion, it says 1981. They're the ones putting out the film, so... I'm going to go with Criterion.
There's so many conflicting things here.
It's more than likely one of those things that it was probably... The original release was 1981, probably played at film festival, but it probably didn't come out in America until 1987 when someone probably finally brought it over.
Yeah.
Because I think this was before the Decalogue and the Three Colors trilogy, so it was probably piggybacking off the success of those that, his early stuff got re-released and finally made it over. Is my guess. That's my guess. That's all conjecture.
I might actually be checking out Immoral Tales just because it has a pretty awesome Blu-ray cover from Arrow. I don't know if you saw it, but it says here, it presents a veritable cavalcade of depravity, cosmic fellatio, which I want to see it just for that, transcendental masturbation, blood-drenched lesbianism, and papal incest.
Oh, is this... Can't find it on IMDb, but I think I know what movie you're talking about. I
feel like I saw this. I actually saw this on... this might be on that exploitation.tv streaming service.
Yes. Yeah. From Valorant. Or Valorant. Borowski.
Yeah, maybe I'll check it out just for fun.
Yeah, he apparently does some crazy shit.
I guess we'll see. All right, well, I think that is going to do it for this week. thank you so much for tuning in. You can send us your questions to podcast@filmpulse.net. Follow us on Twitter @filmpulsenet and @filmpulsekevin. And take a look at our Patreon page, patreon.com/filmpulse, and consider subscribing. Help keep the show up and running. For filmpulse.net, my name's Adam Patterson. This is Kevin Rakestraw. We'll see you on Thursday for Ryan Watches a Movie.
Yeah. Stumbling down the stretch. That's the best part to stumble, though.
Yeah, kinda. Oh well.
Whatever.
Oh well.